All right, we have a huge crowd. Some from batch 3, and also from the project batch. For those of you ማስታወቂያችን አይታችሁ የመጣችሁ, the whole week is going to be open, and you guys can join the session on Wednesday as well as on Thursday and Saturday. We're going to be implementing migration and upgrade from SQL Server 2012 to 2019, and then SQL Server 2016 to 2019. So one technique is going to be just traditional backup and restore, and then using a bunch of T-SQL scripts. And then the other technique is going to be using PowerShell. So environment አሳያችኋለሁ. I have a ስላይዶች አሉኝ ወደዛ ከመሄዴ በፊት አንድ ኤንቫይሮንመንታችንን አሳያችሁና የምናደርገውን ሪኳየርመንቴን ነግራችሁና ከዛ ወደ ማይግሬሽን ቤዚክ ማይግሬሽን ዲስከሽን እንሄዳለን። ከዛ በፊት ግን ሁላችሁም ሬዲ እንድትሆኑ በማሰብ environmentation ምን ይመስላል የሚለውን እንነጋገር። So for me, everything is in Azure. I have 4 virtual machines. 3 of them are dedicated to SQL Server, and then we have 1 domain controller. ሁሉም ሰርቨሮቻችን they are part of Windows failover cluster. Actually, a project just hold on that concept. We're going to discuss next week. Again, sourced virtual machines dedicated to SQL Server. On the domain controller, sourced servers in domain join required. And መጀመሪያ ስንጀምር SQL Server installation and configuration best practice አለን. We went over that together ከክላስ ተማሪዎች ጋር እንዲሁም ፕሮጀክት ላይ ያላችሁ ልጆች. I'm going to be sharing that installation checklist, but make sure you know those SQL servers are identical and then installed and then configured according to Microsoft best practice. And service account መኖር አለበት. They should be running under SQL Server service account. Agentum the same way. But አሁን ዛሬ ምናልባት እንግዲህ locally VMware or Oracle ላይ run የምታደርጉ ሰዎች ካላችሁ the only thing ዛሬ ማሳያችሁ ምንድነው? Okay. Oh, we have Sarah today. Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Sarah ዛሬ ሴኩር አድርጋለች. We wish you all the best. Maybe ለክላስ ሁሉ የምትይው ነገር ካለ ማለት ትችላለሽ.
Well, let me think about it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So I have I'm going to share እነዚህ ሊስቶች እና SQL Server 2016 እና SQL Server 2012 አለኝ እዚህ አንደኛው ኖድ ላይ, and I have a file share. ይሄንን file share መጀመሪያ እንግዲህ ክላስ ላይ አይተነዋል. እዚህ ጋር binary action እናደርጋለን 2019. I'm going to be adding 2016 and 2012 እዚህ ጋር shortly, so that I can access all the binary files from all the 3 nodes. Once I do that, it's going to be installing and then configuring SQL Server using PowerShell. So PowerShell የሚባለው ይሄኛው I don't know, for those of you እስካሁን ምንም introduce ያልተደረጋችሁ ሰዎች ካላችሁ, it's going to be it's going to be fun. It's going to be more easier than doing things manually. You can do a whole bunch of things using PowerShell. You can install and configure SQL Server, and then you can perform server as well as database migration with short lines, 2, 3, 4 lines, of course. It's very easy, really cool. I'm a big fan of PowerShell. I'm not proficient in PowerShell, but I'm learning. Today I'm going to show you DBA tools module. It's one of the PowerShell modules commonly used by DBAs. It's very easy. We're going to download it and we're going to import it, and እዚህ ላይ ነው የምንጫወተው። የዊንዶውስ PowerShell ዩቲሊቲ ነው፣ የዊንዶውስ የማይክሮሶፍት በጣም ብዙ ነገሮችን ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ ከPowerShell። ይሄ ኮማንድ ላይን ዩቲሊቲ ነው። You can install SQL Server, you can migrate a database, you can upgrade, you can do all kind of things using PowerShell. Na አሁን ላይ በጣም የሚፈልግ ስኪል ነው እና if you guys can spend time reading about PowerShell, I'll give you reference እንሰጣችኋለሁ እና more ለፕራክቲስ ያህል ለዚህ ሴሽን የሚበቃ እና ነገሮችን አሳያችኋለሁ። ይህንን ይመስላል። 3 ኖድ አለኝ እንዳልኳችሁ። 3ቱም ኖዶች ፕሮፐርሊ ድራይቭ ሌአውታቸው ተሰርቷል። ሜቢ እንግዲህ በኋላ ኢንስቶል ስታረጉ ተመልከቱት። ድራይቭ ሌአውታችን ይሄን ይመስላል። F is for data, dedicated for SQL Server data files. L is for log, TMTB አለ። በዚህኛው architecture we're not going to be taking backup locally. Instead we're going to be taking backup to the file share. ማሳያችኋለሁ። ብቻ SQL Server virtual machine ናችሁ, whether it's in Azure, whether it's on-prem on using one of the virtualization technologies, it needs to have at least እነዚህን drive layout ያስፈልገዋል። አንደኛው SQL Server ላይ we're going to be installing more than 3 SQLs, 1 default instance and then 2 named instances, different versions, and then we're going to be practicing upgrading and migration. Going back to the slide, we're going to talk about SQL Server migration and upgrade. ምናልባት እዚህ ውስጥ ከእንትን የመጣችሁ ልጆች አላችሁ ከፕሮጀክት እና ማይግሬሽን አፕግሬድ ሰርታችሁ የምታውቁ ሰዎች። let's make this session a little bit interactive. እና what is migration? What is a SQL Server upgrade and what is migration? Let's start having conversation እና በዛ ላይ ቢልድ እያደረግን እንሄዳለን። ምንድነው ማይግሬሽን? ምንድነው አፕግሬድ? እዚህ ክላስ ውስጥ እንደዛ ነው የምናደርገው፣ ዲስከስ ነው የምናደርገው። ሰው ከውጭ የመጣችሁ ልጆች ፓርቲሲፔት አድርጉ። እንዳንዴ ስምም እንጠራለን። እስኪ ኢንላይት አድርጉን። what is an upgrade? What is a migration?
ለሞክር
እንዴታ? እሺ
migration ማለት moving data from one place to another or from source to destination ነው። could be different source ሊሆን ይችላል፣ ኦራክል ሊሆን ይችላል፣ ፍላት ፋይል ሊሆን ይችላል። እንዲሁም ደግሞ ወደ አዥርም የምንሄድበት መንገድ ማለት ነው። አፕግሬድ እና እንትን ደግሞ ልዩነቱ ምንድነው? አፕግሬድ ስናደርግ ቨርዥኑ ላይ ነው ማለት ነው። እንደገና ደግሞ እንትኑ ላይ ሲሆን ደግሞ በወዛ አዘር ተርም ይቀጣል። አፕግሬድ እና ዛተር ተርም ደግሞ ምንድነው? ኤዲሽኑ ላይ ነው ማለት ነው። ምክንያቱም ከኢንተርፕራይዝ ወደ ተለያየ ቦታ ሊሆን ይችላልና በአፕግሬድ እና በእንትን መካከል ያለው ልዩነት ያ ነው። ኦቨርኦል ማይግሬሽን ማለት moving one data from one source to the destination ባጭሩ።
okay so ከሞላ ጎደል ያልከው ነው probably አንድ ነገር ላይ ዲስከስ እናድርግ። so there are two types of migrations, data migration እና SQL Server migration አለ። I think ሁለቱንም ነው በመልስ ላይ ሰጠህንና when we talk about data migration, the first point that you mentioned is moving data from multiple sources to different destinations. I think a very good example could be using SSIS to pull data from multiple sources. Could be Oracle, could be flat files, CSV, could be other relational or non-relational database system, and then performing transformations against that data and then dumping it into a SQL Server or the Oracle. It could be any destination for that matter if we are using ETL. So that is data migration. So you are basically migrating the data. You're not migrating the whole server. You're not migrating the whole database. So we're talking about the data, the unknown record inside a table. Or it could be a table migration in the but in our case, SQL Server migration ማለት, we're going to be migrating databases that are residing on an older version of a SQL Server, and then we're going to be moving those databases and then other server objects from older version of a SQL Server to the latest version of SQL Server. So when we talk about migration, it's basically all the databases and then other server objects from, ለምሳሌ ከSQL Server 2012 ሊሆን ይችላል, or 2014 or 2016, ወደ latest version 2019 ሊሆን ይችላል. It could be 2017 ሊሆን ይችላል, 2016 ሊሆን ይችላል. So it's not only a database. Now the pre-migration checklist actually, we're going to be identifying objects to be migrated to the latest version of the SQL Server. It's a technique by which we're going to be moving our database and then other server objects. And an upgrade is, like you said, it's a version upgrade. When we talk about version upgrade, we're going to be talking about upgrading a SQL Server from an older version to the latest version. And then it could be an additional upgrade. So we can upgrade a SQL Server database that is sitting on SQL Server Standard Edition to the Enterprise Edition. Edition upgrade in the So at the same time, SQL Server migration upgrade in the and version would like or version or multiple versions would like upgrade madrid in the there is also downgrading a SQL Server. So there are multiple scenarios where an organization might decide to downgrade a SQL Server, and we're going to be talking about those as well. So it's SQL Server migration. It's a technique. We're going to be moving data from one server to another. So it could be migrating a single database, or it could be migrating multiple databases, or everything that is on the server. So why do we migrate? What are the main reasons to migrate a SQL Server database from one version to another version, or one edition to another edition? So basically, migration የሚያስፈልግበት ዋነኛው ዓላማ ምንድነው? Very first thing is security. So when Microsoft releases SQL Server 2012, there are people out there looking into the software, SQL Server 2012, and then trying to find a way to penetrate, that server by applying, different hacking techniques. Just like any other software, the relational database management system, SQL Server, is actually, there were different instances where SQL Server has been hacked. So hack ይደረጋል ማለት ነው። ቁጭ ብለው ሁሉ ጊዜ አንድ version, አንድ SQL Server, any server for that matter, release ይደረግ, there are malicious activity የሚያደርጉ ሰዎች, ሃከሮች ሶፍትዌራችንን vulnerable የሚያደርጉ ብዙ አክቲቪቲዎች ይኖራሉ. So these people are going to be exploring, ways to attack your SQL Server and then to steal your data. Even actually, ethical and non-ethical hacking አለ። ኤቲካሊ ደግሞ ያን ሶፍትዌር vulnerability check የሚያደርጉ ኤቲካሊ ሃክ ለማድረግ የሚሞክሩ ሰዎች አሉ፣ ያን ሶፍትዌር ኢምፕሩቭ ለማድረግ ማለት ነው። So one is security concern. The most important thing is security concern. ሁሉ ጊዜ you have to upgrade. That's why you guys pay attention to your SQL Server, your cell phones. I don't know, for iPhone users, you know, your iOS have been updated, you know, several times. How iOS ላይ ነው ያለው 14 15 I've recently seen latest one because of security concern ማለት ነው። And then the other thing is, you know, equipment. ለምሳሌ ከዚህ በፊት older equipment እየተጠቀማችሁ ነበር. So now when you are replacing that all the SQL Server machine, I mean, you want to upgrade your SQL Server to the latest version, and so on and so forth. ከዚህም የተለዩ ብዙ ሪዝኖች ይኖራሉ ማለት ነው። So as a DBA, what is your responsibility? ሲባል, so the most important thing for a DBA is, you know, actually one of the day-to-day activity of the DBA is, you know, looking at the SQL Server, evaluating your SQL Server environment. Actually, we need to keep up with the technology. Even as someone in IT, Microsoftም ሆነ ሌሎችም ካምፓኒዎች ሁሉ ጊዜ አዳዲስ ሶፍትዌሮችን፣ አዳዲስ ሪሊዞችን፣ አዳዲስ ነገሮችን ሪሊዝ ያደርጋል። So as a IT professional, you need to keep an eye on, you know, all the you know, resources, and now you need to get prepared to, you know, evaluate your current environment, your current SQL Server, and then make a recommendation, you know, based on, you know, best practices. It could be Microsoft best practice, or it could be best practice from Microsoft most valuable people, personnel, MVP, or ከተለያዩ ሰዎች የሚመጣን ቤስት ፕራክቲስ እና አዳዲስ ቴክኒኮችን ሪሊዝ የሚደረጉትን ሁሉ ጊዜ ኪፕ አፕ እያደረጋችሁ እያያችሁ እያነበባችሁ እየሰማችሁ ወርክሾፖችን አቴንድ እያደረጋችሁ you need to be able to you know, evaluate your system, your SQL Server. So when SQL Server 2012 was released back in 2012, it was one of the best version of SQL Server because it has always on availability group. It has all other solutions, HADR solution. It could be more performance enhancement, security enhancement. But Microsoft has moved on, you know, to improve, you know, SQL Server 2012, especially, you know, always on availability, performance, ብዙ ኢምፕሩቭመንቶችን አድርጎ ደግሞ 2014 ላይ መጥቷል። So when 2014 was introduced, Microsoft has completely changed the cardinality estimator. Completely database relational database engine rewrite አድርጎታል, and it has በጣም ብዙ performance ለውጥ አለው. When you are on SQL Server 2014 and then when you are on SQL Server 2012, it's completely different since the cardinality estimator is completely changed by Microsoft ማለት ነው. So Microsoft ያንንም 2014 ላይ ትቶት ደግሞ 2016 ሪሊዝ አድርጓል። With SQL Server 2016, there are a bunch of improvements. ለምሳሌ always on encrypted መጥቷል. It's a technique by which you protect your data when it's moving from point A to point B. Data motion protect እንዲያደርግ always encrypted የሚባል feature አምጥቷል. That's one of the best solution 2012 ላይ introduce የተደረጉ. When it comes to always on availability group, ብዙ ለውጦችን አምጥቷል ማይክሮሶፍት ማለት። So Microsoft is one ከfunctionality point of view ብዙ ነገሮችን ይጨምራል፣ ብዙ ለውጦችን፣ ብዙ additional featureዎችን። ሁለተኛ ከperformance point of view ብዙ ነገሮችን ይጨምራል። So you need to see your system and then evaluate and then come up with a recommendation. So ለምሳሌ environment-ታችሁን ስታዩት, if you guys are not protecting your data when it's moving from point A to point B, and if there is no any other technology being used in your environment, you can evaluate SQL Server 2016 and then, you know, go to your management with a recommendation saying that there is the latest version of SQL Server 2016. If we implement or if we upgrade our SQL Server environment to that version, we should be able to protect our data when it's moving from point A to point B, because we don't have any technique currently in place to recommendation ሰጣላችሁ ማለት ነው። So እያንዳንዱ version ላይ ማይክሮሶፍት ሁሉ ጊዜ አዳዲስ ነገሮችን ሪሊዝ ያደርጋል። And እናንተ ደግሞ as a SQL Server professionals, you need to keep an eye on Microsoft release website ሁሉ ጊዜ you need to be learning, you need to be testing, and then based on that learning experience, you will try to, incorporate and then, evaluate your SQL Server current environment, and then, take advantage of, the new technology. For example, when it comes to SQL Server 2019, Microsoft has introduced SQL Server on Linux. Traditionally, SQL Server was extremely rigid, when it comes to the operating system. Used to only work on Windows operating system. Then 2019, like Microsoft completely an approach. They said, okay, you can install and then you can run your SQL Server on Linux with Microsoft. So if you are a big fan of Linux, you don't like a Windows operating system, you should go to your management and then say, hey, Microsoft has finally released SQL Server 2019. And then I know this shop is a strictly Linux shop, so we need to upgrade ማለት ትችላላችሁ ማለት ነው። So most of the time, DBA ስራ 70% of the time it's a production support. Production support means it's making sure everything is up and running. So you will have your production server, you'll have your UAT, user acceptance testing, QA server, and dev environment. 70% of your time is going to be dedicated to making sure all those SQL servers are up and running, and making sure they are properly secured, and then giving permissions, denying permissions, and making sure it's properly backed up. And then if something happens, you should be able to restore your database. And then the other thing is, you need to make it highly available by implementing all the high availability and disaster recovery solutions. And then the other thing is making sure performance is optimal. So you need to alert, you need to monitor, and then you need to tune. So 70% of your time is going to be dedicated as a DBA, making sure everything is okay, making sure it's called business as usual. Okay, business as usual. And then 30% of your time is going to be dedicated to modernization. Modernization includes upgrading a SQL Server from older versions to the latest version, applying patches, applying service packs, cumulative updates, and then evaluating your environment, and then exploring other best methods, best options that are out there for your environment. So 30% usually modernization ነው የሚባለው. So if you join anywhere, actually, for that matter, የትም environment ብትገቡ፣ የትም ስራ ብትቀጠሩ, if you are a DBA, first 30-60-70% it's going to be production support, and then ይብዛም ይነስም 30-40% የሚሆነው ደግሞ modernization. You might be hired to do this modernization work, by the way. So as I was hired for migration and upgrade purpose only. So specifically data centeraቸውን upgrade ለማድረግ, modernize ለማድረግ፣ ሲስተማቸውን ቴክኖሎጂ ሪፍሬሽ ለማድረግ ስራ የሚቀጥሩ ካምፓኒዎች አሉ። just upgrade ለማድረግ ብቻ. For example, one of the organizations that I used to work for, they had more than 3,000 SQL servers. 3,000 SQL servers. So you can imagine how big this SQL server footprint is. And then ሶስት ዳታ ሴንተር ነበራቸው የተለያየ ቦታ ላይ። So ይሄንን ሶስቱን ዳታ ሴንተር በጣም ብዙ ኮስት ስላለባቸው they want to reduce the data center footprint. ወደ ሁለት አድርገው አንደኛውን ሙሉ በሙሉ ማጥፋት ነው የፈለጉት። So me as a DBA, I was hired to evaluate their current environment, to make recommendation, and also to implement those best practices and their recommendations. So I built more than 300 SQL servers, installing, configuring, implementing best practices, and then to evaluate the older versions of SQL Server, and then move the databases, other ancillary objects like SSRS, SSIS to the latest version of the SQL Server. So it is extremely important. So when you build a new server, you take into consideration things like high availability and disaster recovery, and performance, and also whether you're going to be using a reporting service, integration service, and in other applications in addition to the SQL Server database engine. So you need to get ready to do that production support work, which is business as usual, making sure everything is up and running. And then 30 to 40% is going to be upgrading, migrating, and modernization. Okay. So Microsoft last time ስንነጋገር ምን ተባብለናል? There are life cycle የሚባል ነገር አለ, የሰርቨር life cycle. So SQL Server 2008, 2008 R2, 2012. ለምሳሌ SQL Server 2008 R2, one of the oldest version of a SQL Server, it's no longer supported by Microsoft. So organizations that are still using SQL Server 2008 R2, they need to upgrade to the latest version of a SQL Server. So extended support ያደርጋል ማይክሮሶፍት። ለምሳሌ ይሄንን በኖርማል ሰፖርት ያደርገው የነበረው ለከስተመሮቹ ነግሯቸዋል። 2008 R2ን ከዚህ በኋላ ሰፖርት ማድረግ አቆማለሁ ብሎ የነገራቸው back in 2014, 2015 ምናምን I'm not quite sure። ግን extend ሲያደርግ last year ጁን ላይ completely 2008 R2 ማይክሮሶፍት ሰፖርት ያደርግ። ምን ማለት ነው? እንደ አንድ ሶፍትዌር አምራች if something happens to your database that is sitting on SQL Server 2008 R2, you can't go to Microsoft, for help. You can't ask Microsoft to help you. So if there is a chance of losing data, you're by your own. That's actually lose ታደርጋላችሁ። hack ብትደረጉ you can't ask for software patching or security update ምናምን ከማይክሮሶፍት መጠየቅ አትችሉም። So Microsoft has told you time and time again to upgrade from this version. So with the latest version of SQL Server. I think the least Microsoft support የሚያደርገው SQL Server 2012 ነው። ከዚህ በፊት ያሉት በሙሉ ሰፖርት አይደረጉም። 2005, 2008, 2008 R2 አንዳንድ ኦርጋናይዜሽን ስቲል አላቸው። So I'm still working for an organization that has SQL Server 2008 R2. So this is one of the main projects that I'm currently working on, upgrading from 2008 R2 to 2019. But most organizations are losing 2012 ላይ 2012 seems አሁን ላይ almost extended support. I think next year, I don't know. የሚያውቅ ሰው አለ መቼ እንደሚያውቀው? Sure, it's extended support is gonna end soon. Last year we do extended support SQL 2012. We can check the Microsoft website. End of support. Let me move it here. I think what does I need to keep in mind? SQL Server 2008 extended security update. So አሁን ለምሳሌ SQL Server 2008 R እና 8 R2 የሚባሉት still Microsoft support አያደርጋቸውም። ግን if you move your data to Azure, since there is benefit ስላለው security update ይሰጣል ማይክሮሶፍት። ግን they're not supported. January 10, 2030 ይሄኛውም የሁለቱ extended security update ያቆማል። I think SQL Server 2012 እና this is Windows actually. SQL Server, where is the SQL Server 20? SQL Server, this is Windows Server. Yeah, exactly, just like SQL Server, Windows እንደዛ ነው። Okay. SQL Server የሁለቱም ነው ያላችሁ። Yep. SQL Server 2012 July 12, 2022 በኋላ ማይክሮሶፍት ሰፖርት አደረገ። Okay, already አለቀ ማለት ነው። I think ይሄንን ኤክስቴንድ አድርጎታል definitely 2012. End of support for SQL Server 2012 and reached end of support in July. Yep, it's already ended. So any organization that is currently running its database on SQL Server 2012 and it's 2008, Microsoft support አይጠይቁትም ማለት ነው። Okay, so that is the main reason why we need to migrate our SQL Server. Yes. Question? Okay, so how are we going to be migrating our database or our SQL Server from one version to another? So there are different techniques. The easiest technique and then the safest one is by taking a backup and then restore. So there are two types of migrations or upgrade. So by the way, እነዚህ ተርሚኖሎጂዎች ሁል ጊዜ ኢንተርቼንጀብል እንጠቀማቸዋለን። ማይግሬሽንን በመጠቀም we can upgrade. So ለዛ ነው upgrade and migration የሚባለው። ለምሳሌ let's say you have server A, this is 2008 ነው እንበል። Let's say we have, and then we want to upgrade this server 2008 R2 ነው እንበል። ይህንን upgrade ማድረግ ፈለግን ወደ SQL Server 2019 because its extended support has already ended. So we need to make sure it's upgraded as quick as possible. So how do we do that? So there are two methods. One is in place upgrade, and then the other one is side by side upgrade. So in place upgrade የሚባለው ለምሳሌ ይሄ SQL Server 2008 R2 ራን የሚያደርግ የነበረው virtual machine, let's say it's on Baro node 1 ላይ ቢሆን ይሄ SQL Server 2008 R2 ኢንስቶል አድርገን almost ለ10 ዓመት ለ15 ዓመት or whatever ስንጠቀመው የነበረው if it was on Baro node 1, we can do in place upgrade. In place upgrade የምናደርገው ምንድነው? እዚሁ Baro node 1 ላይ SQL Server 2019 ISO ፋይሉን እናመጣውና ኦኬ እዚሁ Baro node 1 ላይ ደብል ክሊክ አድርገን ልክ SQL Server ኢንስቶል እንደምናደርገው ራሱ ላይ upgrade እናደርገዋለን። There is an option to do that. There is a way to do that. I'm going to show. So that means ይሄንን ሰርቨሩን ዳታቤዙን ኤቭሪቲንግ ወደ 2019 እንቀይረዋለን። ልክ SQL ሰርቨራችን ኢንስቶል ባደረግንበት way we can upgrade. So that is in place upgrade. This is not safe. We don't recommend, not safe, and then it's gonna take some time. It's gonna be taking a whole bunch of time to do in place upgrade. ለምሳሌ ምን ማለት ነው? If your application is mission critical, if it has to be like up and running, there is no way you can guarantee that ማለት ነው። At least ሶፍትዌሩን ኢንስቶል አድርጋችሁ እስከጨርሱ ድረስ you're going to take the system down, everything down by doing in place upgrade. In place ራሱ ላይ in place upgrade ማድረግ. It's not safe because the rollback is going to be extremely difficult. If things go wild west, there is no rollback, or at least it's extremely difficult to roll back after in place upgrade. The other method is side by side upgrade. Side by side upgrade of Baro node 1, it's going to be, you will have another node, another virtual machine built for this purpose. It's called Baro node 2. You will install your SQL Server just like you do it, ሌላ ጊዜ ኢንስቶል እንደምታደርጉት SQL Serverችሁን ኢንስቶል ታደርጋላችሁ, upgrade configure ታደርጋላችሁ, post installation, best practice, everything apply ይደረጋል. SQL Server is up and running. What you can do is you can take a backup from SQL Server 2008 R2 to Baro node 2, which is 2019. ወደዚህ ወደ 2019 backup restore ተጠቅማችሁ የመጀመሪያውን ሜተድ you can upgrade your database. So you're doing two things at this time. You're upgrading your SQL Server from 2008 R2 to 2019. At the same time, you are migrating, right? From Baro node 1 line with the Baro node 2, migrate. So upgrade, because when you take a backup from SQL Server 2008 R2 and then restore it on Baro node 2, which is 2019, you're basically upgrading. You're basically changing the database compatibility mode to the latest version, which is 2019. You can do that. And at the same time, you are migrating everything from Baro node 1 to Baro node 2. This is a migration. upgrade, migration. You can achieve both at the same time. So this is the most safest one. This is what we do actually in an enterprise environment, side by side. So business action Baro node you're gonna keep using Baro node 1. When we're not gonna take the system down, it's gonna be up and running. While we're doing that, we will take a backup from Baro node 1 and then restore on Baro node 2. That's backup and restore method. And then there are other objects that you need to take from logins, jobs, linked servers, and then other stuffs will be copied from Baro node 1 to Baro node 2. And then finally, you can turn Baro node 1 off for at least some time. And then if you think Baro node 2 is good enough, you can decommission it or you can get rid of Baro node 1 marathon. So here side-by-side upgrade. No, this is the most safest method. Or there is another one, detach attach. Actually, it's not another method. It's one of the side-by-side method side-by-side. ምን ታረጋላችሁ? ከባሮ ኖድ 1 ላይ ዲታች አድርጋችሁ ወደ ባሮ ኖድ 2 አታች ታረጋላችሁ። ላስት ታይም ዲታች አታች ለማድረግ ሞክረናል። this is not safe. I don't do this actually. I don't do this. Detach attach is not safe. አንዴ ዲታች ካረጋችሁት በኋላ there is a good chance that you may not be able to attach it to SQL Server 2019. So I don't recommend this. And there are other options as well, other methods. ለምሳሌ you can use the data wizard management studio. You can copy the data from node 1 to node 2. Still side by side by the way. So in place so everything is side by side. ሌላው ደግሞ ሚረሪንግ ነው። ይሄንንም HDR ላይ ስናይ we're gonna be talking about this for the next week HDR. And then there is a tool that Microsoft has created for this purpose, data migration assistant, DMA tool, data migration assistant. ይሄ በተለይ ደግሞ ከራሳችሁ ዳታ ሴንተር ወደ አዡር ወደ ክላውድ ማይግሬት ማድረግ ከፈለጋችሁ እንዲሁም ከአንድ ሰርቨር ወደ አንድ ሰርቨር ይሄ እንደውም በጣም አሪፍ ነገር አለው። አሰስመንትም ይሰራል እንደገና ሙቭ ያደርጋል። So we're going to talk about this በደንብ more hands on እያደረግን እያንዳንዱ ቴክኒክ እናየዋለን። roughly migrate የምናደርገው እንደዚህ ነው. But there are 3 main migration phases that every solid and an experienced DBA should follow. Yes, Simon.
Migration log shipping
ይቻላል. Good question. Actually, that's my favorite option. ሁሉ ጊዜ እሱ ነው የምንጠቀመው. You can do that. So እዚህ ጋር አወራዋለሁ next time. You can set up log shipping and then you can. But for majority of this class, they don't know log shipping, so that's why I'm skipping.
Okay. Sorry.
We're going to talk about that, but next week. All right. So there are 3 different phases. At least you need to follow this as a best practice. So just like I told you time and time again, the most important thing, being a SQL Server DBA or experienced DBA or a good DBA is not to know, how to do things, how to do the migration, how to do the installation, how to do the upgrade and everything. That's the easiest thing. To be honest with you, you can watch a YouTube video, and then you can do the upgrade and the migration. The most important thing is, knowing the best practices, more process focused. Best practice focus operation መውሰድ ያለባችሁ ስታርታፕ ማለት ነው። So you can do migration, backup restore. Last time backup restore ስታደርጉ practice ስታደርጉ class that. It's the same thing. You can take a backup and then restore. So you were taking a backup and then you were restoring on the same server. This is going to be taking a backup from server A and then restoring it to server B. That's it. But it's not the actual implementation that is tough. The toughest thing, when you're doing migration and upgrade is performing pre-migration checks, post-migration best practices, and the actual DB migration is not difficult. The one in the middle is out. This is not. መጀመሪያ pre-migration check ይሄኛው almost የስራችሁን I would say 70% እስከ 80% የሚሆነውን ጊዜያችሁን ታጠፉት እዚህ ጋር ነው። Okay? So pre-migration, assessing your existing system, your existing environment, source systemaችሁ, source serverአችሁን ምን እያደረገ ነው፣ ምን ኦብጀክቶች አሉ፣ ኢንቨንተሪ በማድረግ what are the server configurations, the database configurations. መጀመሪያ ቻፕተር ላይ ያወራነውን ኢንስታሌሽን ኮንፊግሬሽን ቤስት ፕራክቲስ ብለን ኢምፕሊመንት ያደረግናቸውን የፕሪ-ማይግሬሽን ቼክ ላይ ሶርሳችንን ደግሞ ኢቫሉዌት እናደርገዋለን፣ አሰስ እናደርገዋለን ሲኮል ሰርቨራችን። አንዳንድ አፕሊኬሽኖች ለምሳሌ ኦልደር ቨርዥን ላይ ራን ያደረጉ የነበሩ አፕሊኬሽኖች they may not work on the latest version of SQL Server, and you don't want to just find yourself in a limbo. አንድ ጊዜ ሙቭ አድርጋችሁት አፕግሬድ አድርጋችሁት ከጨረሳችሁ በኋላ አፕሊኬሽኑ ካልሰራ it's a complete waste of time. So pre-migration check ላይ you need to be talking to like stakeholders, application owners, vendors. በጣም ብዙ የሚያገባቸው ሰዎች አሉ ዳታቤዛችንን የሚጠቀሙ። So you need to have meetings, በጣም ብዙ stakeholder discussion ምናምን ታደርጉና pre-migration check አለ እሱን ታደርጋላችሁ። That will take at least 70 to 80% of your time. The actual DB migration, like I said, it's backing from a source server and then restoring on a destination server. It's not that በጣም ከባድ አይደለም እሱ። Okay, but you need to be doing development መጀመሪያ backup restore አችሁን ቴስት ማድረግ አለባችሁ and finally ወደ production move ማድረግ አለባችሁ። Okay, and then post migration የሚባለው it's a consistency and a connectivity check. So what's going to happen? Baro node 1 was your production server. Now you moved everything to Baro node 2. Do you just simply leave it? No, you need to communicate with a business owner. You need to communicate with the application team and then change the connection string from Baro node 1 to Baro node 1 to Baro node 2. Change ማድረግ አለባችሁ connection string አችሁ። Okay, post migration consistency check ደግሞ ማድረግ አለባችሁ። DBCC check DB እንዲሁም ኢንዴክሳችሁን አፕዴት ስታቲስቲካችሁን አፕዴት ማድረግ አለባችሁ። we're going to talk about each one of these phases. All right, so let's start by talking about the pre-migration phases or best practices or checklists. ሁላችሁም አላችሁ? Let's check. All good, guys?
Yes.
Yes. We here. Yep.
Salam. No.
Salam.
We're here.
Okay. Who do we have? We have Zach from Patch 1. We have Jordanos. We have Uday Brook. Well, good option. Teges Mangistu, I don't know. Teges. Okay, I think from project. We have Tarakan Pandanam Tatu. Okay, what do we have? Samson. Who is ready? Ready Zalala. Reddit Zalala. Okay. Are you from Project Patch or?
Project KL2 class.
KL2 class, perfect. We have Nardi. Hey, Mr. Mili. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you. From
From West. All right, Masarat. And then we have ሁሉም ግልጽ ነው ጋይስ? አሪፍ ይሄድ ነው። አሰግድ what's going on? እሺ ብሩክቲ አለች። እሺ ሄደን perfect. All right, TG, happy birthday. We have someone happy birthday on ያከበረ ያለ ሰው.
Thank you so much.
We wish you many more years, TG.
Thank
And
you.
then I think we have Marky as well. Happy birthday, Marky.
Yeah,
All
Marky, you know,
You Marky ዛሬ ነው?
ትናንት
ትላንት ኦኬ ዘራይ ለምን እኔ ያልተባልኩም ነው መሰለኝ ሃፒ በርዝዴይ በማለት ቀደም ሃፒ በርዝዴይ ዘራይ አይ ቲንክ
Thank you.
የኔም ዛሬ ነው
like you have like multiple birthdays and the assassin every 6 months no birthday ታከብሩ እሺ bye yes birthday to oh okay bye happy birthday wow okay አይ ጥሩ ነው you guys need to stop by Baro ነገና ኬክ እንትን እንላችኋለን. All right. Perfect. So let's talk about pre-migration checklists. So as a DBA, you need to have a checklist. So checklist is important. ሁሉ ጊዜ checklist ያስፈልጋችኋል. Actually, when you're installing, when you're doing deployment, when you're doing migration, you need to have a checklist. So because you need to, I mean, 0% by balance, your work should be like close to perfection. Otherwise, you can imagine, Sale, let's assume you are supporting a bank, and then the bank has put those banners on the website saying that this system is under maintenance. Almost users communicate ተደርጓል. So the application is going to be down because Mr. Million or good DBA is going to be implementing migration or upgrade. Tableau already ተነግሯል, and then everybody's just waiting for Mr. Millie, to get it done. For me to get it done right. Okay. Otherwise, rollback ማድረጉ እንዲሁም የቢዝነስ ኮስቱ it's going to be high. So, and then most of the time, the downtime you have is extremely limited. And then there are some organizations, some environments that won't give you more than, a couple of hours. So you need to plan, test. That's extremely important in IT actually. The more remote migration upgrades, etc., you need to plan. So that's why you need to have a solid checklist as well. So the pre-migration checklist is going to be on the migration, on the source server. So you have, let's say you have 5 servers to upgrade from SQL Server 2012 to SQL Server 2019. So እኔ ለምሳሌ 5 server ብሰጠኝ you have ይሄን ያህል ጊዜ to come up with the best strategy, game plan to migrate and to upgrade the SQL Server from 2012 to 2015. ተብሎ ቢሰጠኝ የመጀመሪያው ከምንድን ነው? So the database size. የመጀመሪያ የማየው ሄጄ database size ነው ማለት። database size ለምሳሌ if it's 10 ዳታቤዞች ቢኖሩት እያንዳንዱ ሰርቨር and then if they are like ትንንሾች 20 ጊጋባይት ቢሆኑ 50 ጊጋባይት I won't really worry about much about that migration because it is ብዙ downtime አያስፈልገኝም because backup and restore ሳደርግ within a fraction of minutes ጨርሰዋል። Database size is extremely important. And then the other thing is when you look at database size, downtime backup restore በማድረግ የሚወስድብን downtime እንዳለ ሆኖ ደግሞ the destination serverአችን ላይ ምን ያህል ስፔስ ያስፈልገናል የሚለውም ትልቁ ነገር ነው። If I give you 5 servers 10 database ያላቸው ሁሉም እና so you need to come up with some calculation. ዳታ ፋይላችን የአምስቱ ዳታቤዞች የአምስቱ ሰርቨሮች የ10 ዳታቤዝ ዳታ ፋይሉ ለምሳሌ 10 ቴራባይት 5 ቴራባይት 2 ቴራባይት ሎግ ፋይሉ እንደዛ ለቴምቲቢ ይሄን ያላስፈልገኛል and then plus to 20% ደግሞ ያስፈልገኛል 20% because you need to leave a room, you know, for growth, you know, ዳታ ሎዳችሁ ያድጋል 20% free space መኖር አለበት ሁሉ ጊዜ as a best practice, so you need to account for that. So database size is extremely important. Data log file ሳይዛችሁ ምን ያህል ነው የሚለው it's extremely important. አንደኛ ከዳውን ታይም አንፃር ነው እንዳልኳችሁ፣ ሁለተኛ ደግሞ ምን ያህል ስፔስ ምን ያህል ስቶሬጅ ስፔስ ሳይድ ባይ ሳይድ ቢልድ በምታረጉት አዲሱ ሰርቨር ላይ ኦር ዴስቲኔሽን ሰርቨር ላይ ያስፈልገናል የሚለው ነው። ሌላኛው ሎኬሽን ነው። ለምሳሌ ነው ሲምፕሊ መጀመሪያ ሲሰጡኝ የማደርገው ምንድነው I will go to my source server, right, run my script to see where are my database MDF, NDF, and LDF files located. Are they placed on a C drive, on a D drive, A drive, properly best practice implemented ተደርጎባቸው በተለያየ dedicated drive ላይ የተቀመጡት ወይስ ሁሉም አንድ ላይ ነው የተቀመጡት የሚለውን ቼክ አደርጋለሁ። Because the new server that I'm going to be building, at least ያንን ሚሚክ ማድረግ አለበት or ደግሞ best practice implement መደረግ አለበት. So I'll check that. And then there are a bunch of database properties. Collation, who is a database owner, recovery model, you know, recovery model has በጣም ትልቅ impact from HADR point of view, as well as transaction log management. If it's a simple recovery mode, bulk log, full recovery mode, it's completely different. So you need to check your recovery model on the source server. Compatibility level. What is the compatibility level? Compatibility level on SQL Server 2008 ሆኖ you might have like databases running with lower compatibility mode 80, so you need to check compatibility. Trustworthy option, and there are a bunch of database settings. So I want you to go back and then review those sessions we had. What are the database configurations, servers configurations, best practices, configure ያደረግናቸውን በሙሉ እነሱን ሁሉ ጋዘር ማድረግ አለባችሁ ማወቅ አለባችሁ። ኦኬ and then because if your application was running smoothly on older source server, at least you know how max degree of parallelism, first degree of parallelism, setting አችሁ minimum maximum memory አችሁ በስንት ኮር ነበር ራን ሲያደርግ የነበረው ሰርቨራችሁ የሚለውን እነሱን ማወቅ አለባችሁ። ኦኬ and then what are other ancillary objects? ለምሳሌ SSRS አላችሁ ወይ? Do we have an ETL package, SSIS, analysis service አለ ወይ? And ሌሎች applications, you need to make sure you know all those service will be stopped because ለምሳሌ እናንተ ማይግሬት ካደረጋችሁ በኋላ application still old server ላይ የጻፈ ከሆነ insert update delete ያደረገ ከሆነ there is a good chance of losing the data. So you need to make sure you know all those applications that are dependent on the server that you're going to be upgrading and migrating to a new server is completely stopped, and then everybody should be communicated, and then they should be aware that that system is going to be moved to a new system, a new server, and then they should be given ahead of time, you know, the server name, and then they should be able to change their connection string. And the other most important thing is logins, users, and then their permissions. All logins, database users, and permissions on Borrow Node 1, the old source server, which is SQL Server 2012, they should be migrated ahead of time to Borrow Node 2. For your applications and for your users to be able to connect to Borrow Node 2 successfully without any issue, their logins, their users, and their permission should be moved. If your application is a sysadmin on a source server, and then if sysadmin is required for your application to run, that has to be moved to your source, your destination. Borrow Node client like that. Okay, and user non-new permission everything with a source server movement. Okay. The most important thing is, for example, you have a backup job or index maintenance or other user-defined jobs that are running on the source server. You need to make sure all those SQL Server agent jobs and the SQL Server linked servers other than the database, those objects should be moved ahead of time to the destination server. Maintenance plan ካላችሁ, if you guys remember, we were able to create a maintenance plan last time for our full differential and transactional log backups. We need to make sure those maintenance plans are moved ahead of time to the Barrow node too. I'm not a big fan of these maintenance plans, so if you have all Hallam-Gray maintenance solution being in place on your Barrow node 1, those objects, the store procedures, and then the jobs with their schedule should be moved to Barrow node 2. So pre-migration checklist, ከሞላ ጎደል ዳታቤዝ ሳይዛችሁን ቼክ ማድረግ አለባችሁ። ዳታ ሎግ ፋይል ሎኬሽናችሁን፣ የሰርቨር እና የዳታቤዝ ፕሮፐርቲያችሁን፣ server property, if you guys remember, max degree of parallelism, minimum maximum memory, the database setting, collection, DB owner, recovery model, እነሱ በሙሉ ቼክ ማድረግ አለባችሁ። And finally, and then you need to make sure the application owneroቻችሁ ማወቅ አለባቸው, because they need to stop their applications. እናንተ if you guys don't notice አድርጋችሁ ከሆነ this site is under construction, this application is down for maintenance ምናምን ሲባል አይታችሁ ከሆነ probably they're doing migration, probably they're doing upgrade of the backend system. So ከፍሮንት ኤንድ የምታዩት አፕሊኬሽን የዌብ አፕሊኬሽንም ሊሆን ይችላል የሞባይል አፕሊኬሽን መቆም አለበት. It should be down. So business shouldn't be able to access, because behind the scene ያለው database, ዳታውን የሚቀበለው database, it's being changed, from one server to another. So for certain period of time, there has to be a downtime መኖር አለበት ማለት ነው። ሌሎች ancillary objects, SSRS, SSIS ካለ እነሱ መታወቅና ሙቭ መደረግ አለባቸው ahead of time. SQL Server logins, users, and then their permissions, they should be able to move to the destination server. And same thing for SQL Server agent. All right, so there is another thing that you need to do on the first phase pre-migration checklist ላይ የምታደርጓቸው ሌሎች ነገሮች አሉ። እሱ ምንድነው? destination server ላይ ሄዳችሁ basically you need to acquire enough disk space based on source server ላይ ባያችሁት database size, database and log file location. Based on this number, you should be able to acquire or request disk space on the server, on the destination server. Barrow node ላይ ሄዳችሁ you should have, ለምሳሌ Barrow node 1 ላይ የነበራችሁ 10 ዳታቤዞች ስትደምሩት ሳይዞቹን 5 ቴራባይት የሚፈጅ ከሆነ you should be able to acquire 5 terabyte on the destination server, because you're doing side-by-side migration. Okay. ለምሳሌ if you are placing data files on F drive on the source server, destination ላይ you should have similar drive letter, F for data, L for log, T for 10 TB. Okay. And then on the destination server, you should be able to install your SQL Server correctly, and it should be configured according to your checklist. So እንግዲህ SQL Server install ስናደርግ የመጀመሪያ ቻፕተር ላይ ትዝ ካላችሁ we install a new SQL Server from scratch for a new application, non-existent ለሆነ application, ለአዲስ system, ለአዲስ application install እናደርጋለን. And then we make it ready, we configure, and then we give it to the application team to connect and then to start using that SQL Server. The other scenario is migration. The migration purpose, add the SQL Server install. So you install your SQL Server, የተነጋገርናቸው ቤስት ፕራክቲሶች አሉ አይደል? እነሱን ሁሉ የፕሪ እና የፖስት ኢንስታሌሽን ቤስት ፕራክቲሶችን እንዲሁም ሪኳየርመንታችሁን እዚህ ጋር RPO, RTO ወርክሎዳችሁ ምንድን ነው? is it going to be on OLTP workload or data warehouse OLAP workload ነው የሚለውን በሙሉ you should take into consideration when you install a SQL Server. Regardless, whether it's for to replace an old system, the migration or the upgrade, or this system. And server memory, you should look at your source server server memory configuration, minimum, maximum memory, available memory, provision memory, and then you should be able to do the same thing on the destination server. So the rule of thumb for me personally, on the latest version of a SQL server, እኔ ድሮ ለምሳሌ በ128 ጊጋባይት ራም ከሆነ ሰርቨር ራም ሲያደርግ የነበረው I would just bump that a little bit more request እናደርጋለን because it's a good opportunity, you know, more breathing room ለSQL serveraችሁን ለመስጠት. You should have a service account. ለሰርቪሳችሁ ለSQL server service as well as the agentaችሁ SSRS SSIS ካለ you should have SQL server service account, and then start mode እነዚህ ሁላ በትክክል ዴስቲኔሽን ሰርቨራችሁ ላይ መደረግ አለባቸው። ዴስቲኔሽን ሰርቨራችሁ አፕ ኤንድ ራኒንግ ሆኖ ሬዲ መሆን አለበት ለአፕሊኬሽናችሁ። ኦልራይት ሶ የመጀመሪያው ይሄ የፕሪ ኢንስታሌሽን የፕሪ ማይግሬሽን ቼክሊስት ያልናቸው ናቸው። ሁለተኛ ደግሞ steps to be performed on the source server. This is during the migration itself. Okay, so you should be able to isolate your source server. That means, you know, you have to communicate with your business owners, application team actually, ሙሉ source server actually shutdown ማድረግ አለበት። ዳታቤዛችሁም from server source serveraችሁ ባክአፕ መውሰድ አለባችሁ። You should be able to script out all jobs, linked servers, and logins. We have a bunch of scripts that we use in እናሳያችኋለሁ። And ከተቻለ ዳታቤዛችሁን አንድ ጊዜ ባክአፕ ከወሰዳችሁ በኋላ read only ላይ ማድረግ አለባችሁ so that you know, applications don't write to the source server. And on the destination server, ምንድነው የምታደርጉት? የወሰዳችሁትን ባክአፕ you can copy it to different location, or using PowerShell, you can directly take a backup and you restore to the destination server. So when you are restoring your database, don't forget the move close or relocate የሚለውን you should be able to place your data file, log file in the correct file location, dedicated file location. And then you're going to be recreating all the logins of the users, and then you're going to fix orphan users, and then ጃባችሁንና ሜንቴናንስ ፕላናችሁን ሶርሱ ላይ ያለውንም ዴስቲኔሽኑ ላይ ታመጣላችሁ። and then finally you're going to perform consistency check. ዳታቤዛችሁን consistency check ታደርጉና you're going to make it up and running. So we're going to see every single one of this in action, so we don't have to worry about some of the terminologies ካልገባችሁ ሁሉም ነገር in action እናያለን. And then the post migration phase is going to be okay, now everything is copied over to the destination server. You have your database, your logins, your jobs, linked server, everything properly copied to the destination server. So what? So now what? Now it's time to point the application to the new database environment. So application team actually here now, okay, it used to be borrow node 1, the server that you used to use. Now it's on borrow node 2, so you need to change your connection string. So እንደዛ ስትላቸው connection string አቸውን application አቸው ላይ ሄደው borrow node 1 የሚለው ወደ borrow node 2 ይቀይሩታል. So they can connect to borrow node to the new server. And networking team ደግሞ sometimes ማለት ነው they restart network connections, and then as a DBA, the most important task for us is, you know, to look at the SQL Server error log, your Windows error log item. If there is any failure, you want to connect ማድረግ ቢያቅተው any ችግር ካለ error logአችንን check እናደርጋለን, and then we communicate with application team for functionality and then performance test. ዩዘራችንን እየደወልን how's it, were you able to connect to the new server? How's everything? Is it fast? Is there anything that you should be aware as a DBA? Communicate ታደርጋላችሁ ማለት ነው። So post migration phase የምንለው ይሄኛው ነው። So post migration and migration, actual migration, pre migration checklist, these are the most important things to know as a DBA. And when we talk about migration, there are two techniques in place. as well as side-by-side upgrade or migration. Side-by-side is the safest method. You can take a backup and then restore, detach, attach, copy data wizard, and then you can use HADR features like log shipping and mirroring, to migrate your database from one version to another. And there are tools specifically designed for this purpose. Data migration assistance is one of these tools. And then there are 3 phases: pre-migration, actual migration, as well as post-migration. So we're going to see every one of these in action. And I am sure ሁላችሁም at least 3-4 node አላችሁ, which is up and running. We're going to be installing SQL Server 2012 not 2016 on one of our server, and then I have a dummy databases that I'm going to be restoring to that, and we're going to talk about a checklist or chumbamulu. So I have borrow migration checklist. እነዚህ እንግዲህ as a DBA ሁሉ ጊዜ ምን ተጠቀማቸው ናቸው? ምንድነው ስክሪፕት ቼክ ዲስክ and database size የመጀመሪያው ነው ብያችኋለሁ pre installation ላይ። database property check ለማድረግ ደግሞ እነዚህን ስክሪፕቶች ተጠቀማላችሁ። ያ ከነ ስክሪፕት አስቀምጫለሁ። database property, you can use this script. Server property, you can use that. Orphan user, linked server source line, job option, and then database migration checklist. You're going to be stopping the application. This is at the time of upgrade or migration, and then you can change the database from read-write to read-only, and you're going to take a latest full backup, restore on the target server, and then cross the database properties. Script the DB owner. We're going to be doing all these things. So here method, script method, no. We're going to be using T-SQL script. ብዙ ማኑዋል ስራ አለው። ነገና I'm sorry, Wednesday የምናየው ግን we're going to be using PowerShell, purely PowerShell ብቻ ነው የምንጠቀመው ሐሙስና ነገ። Okay. All right. ጥያቄ እንጠይቅ።
ፍሬው
Yes, sir.
ከቱልሶቹ ውስጥ ለምሳሌ ሬድጌት ሰርድ ፓርቲ ቱል ካን ዊ ዩዝ ኦር እንዴት ነው እሱ?
Redgate third party tools. Redgate tool belt የሚባላለው I don't know if we can use. I've never used any Redgate tool. የሬድጌት ለማይግሬሽን የሚሆን ቱል አለ። አክቹሊ ሬድጌት ቱል ቤልት የሚባል አለ። ወደ 9 ነው 10 የሚሆኑ ቱሎች አሉ። ሬድጌት ዳታ ኮምፔር፣ ስኪማ ኮምፔር ምናምን የሚባሉ አሉና you can use data compare actually to move data from one server to another. ግን more ይሄ የሰርቨር ማይግሬሽን ላይ I don't think there is a Redgate tool እንደዚህ ያለ አይመስለኝም. But I'll check. ሌላ ጥያቄ? Yes.
So restore ስናደርግ ከኦልድ ቨርሽን ወደ ኒው ቨርሽን ላይ ማለት ነው።
Yes.
Most of the time real time ላይ ሊገጥሙን የሚችሉ ኢረሮችን ብናወራ አሪፍ ነው። Most of the time ባክአፕ ሪስቶር ስናደርግ የሚገጥሙን ችግሮች so ቅድም እንዳልኩ when we do migration and upgrade መጀመሪያ ላይ ወደ dev server UAT server ቴስት አድርገን በደንብ እነሱ ነገሮች መስራታቸውን እርግጠኛ ሆነን ነው የምንሄደው። so most of the time ይሰራሉ ባክአፕ ሪስቶሮቹ። okay, that's fine, but the most common scenarios ለምሳሌ ባክአፕ migration ስንሰራ application connectivity, so that's a nightmare. ኮኔክት ማድረግ ያቅታቸዋል አዲሱ ሰርቨር ጋር በተለያየ ሪዝን። አንደኛ if you guys remember የኮኔክቲቪቲ troubleshoot ስናደርግ last time ለምሳሌ የኮሚኒኬሽን ፕሮቶኮሎቹ enable ካልተደረጉ TCP/IP name pipe shared memory firewall still on ከሆነ ለምሳሌ ኔምድ ኢንስታንስ የምንጠቀም ከሆነ ብራውዘር ሰርቪስ እንትን ካልተደረገ አፕን ራኒንግ ካልሆነ ፖርት ነምበራችንን ከቀየርን ኮኔክት ማድረግ ያቅተናል። ሞስት ኦፍ ዘ ታይም እንደዛ። ግን ሌላ ጊዜ ዲው ቱ አፕሊኬሽን ኢሹ ፍሮንት ኤንድ ከአፕሊኬሽን ኢሹ ኮኔክት ማድረግ ያቅታቸዋል። ሶ I've had that issue before, but like I said በጣም ብዙ ማይግሬሽን ሰርቻለሁ, close to 3000 SQL servers. The majority of the time, you know, everything will go smoothly. Like I said 70% 80% ስራችንን ጨርሰን ነው የምንሄደው እዚህ ፕሪ ማይግሬሽን ላይ። ኦኬ ፕሪ ማይግሬሽን ላይ አናላይዝ አድርገን ዲስክ ስፔሳችንን ታርጌት ሰርቨር ምን ያህል ስቶሬጅ ያስፈልገናል፣ ኢነፍ ስፔስ አለን ወይ፣ ካሌለን ደግሞ እንጠይቃለን ዳታ እና ሎግ ፋይል ሎኬሽናችንን። ኦኬ ዳታቤዝ ፕሮፐርቲያችንን እንፈልጋለን፣ ዲፔንደንት አፕሊኬሽኖቻችን መቆማቸውን፣ ኢንፎርሜሽን ዳታቤዝ ሎጊንስ፣ ሁሉንም ነገሮች ቼክ አድርገን እዚህ ጋር ጨርሰን ነው የምንሄደው ፕሪ ማይግሬሽን ቼክ ሊስታችን ላይ። when it comes to the actual migration ብዙም ችግር አይገጥመንም።
Thank you.
You guys ready to start working on migration? Yes. Go ahead. Yup. Hey, how are you?
Hello, ይሰማል?
ይሰማል በደምብ።
እሺ እንትን ለምሳሌ ሎግ ሺፒንግ የምንጠቀም ከሆነ ማለት ነው ለማይግሬሽን።
Yes.
And if we are migrating a production database that is busy, when is the best time to configure the log shipping?
Production database that is busy. To be honest with you, you can initiate log shipping anytime. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have like serious impact on performance like. So what you can do as a DBA, configure ማድረጉን log shipping, you can do it like off peak hour ማድረግ ትችላለህ። ለምሳሌ ማታ ላይ you can take a full backup. Backup it has impact on the source server, right? You can take that full backup, restore it on the destination server, but the rest is like simple. It's just log backup and restore. It has minimal impact, to be honest with you, on the source server. So as far as setting up log shipping, you can take, by the way, for those of you from batch 3, gonna log shipping ያልተማራችሁ ሰዎች, log shipping ማለት it's very simple HADR solution ነው. You will take a full backup, right, from node 1 and then or server 1 and then restore it on server 2, and then you restore transaction log backup, you know, on a defined interval. Transaction log backup-አችሁን ኮፒ ያረጋችሁ ባክአፕ ያረጋችሁ ሪስቶር ማድረግ ነው ወደ ሰከንደሪያችሁ እና they can be like in sync ማለት ነው። So we'll see that in action. So backup restore automate ማድረግ ነው በተለየ አገላለጽ ማለት ነው። So ይሄንን ዮብ እንዳልኩ you can set up log shipping, you know, during off peak hours.
Okay, thank you.
ሌላ ጥያቄ ሚስተር አሹ?
ማክሲመም ሳይዝ ያለው አሁን ትልቅ ኢንቫይሮንመንት ላይ ምን how long it takes አሁን ማይግሬሽን ሙሉ ፕሮጀክቱን ለመጨረስ ማለት ነው?
Well, I have seen database close to 35 terabyte, whether you believe or not. አንድ ዳታቤዝ 35 ቴራባይት አይቻቃለሁ። that's the largest. እንግዲህ ባክአፕ ለማድረግ ምን ያህል ጊዜ ይፈጃል ነው? So actually it depends on the storage media, ባክአፓችሁን የምትወስዱበት ባክአፕ media, as well as the server performance, you know, ሌሎች ነገሮች አሉ ወይ፣ ሌሎች አፕሊኬሽን ራን የሚያደርጉ አሉ ወይ ነው። ባክአፕ ስትወስድ 14-15 ሰዓት የሚፈጅ ባክአፕ አይቻቃለሁ። ሪስቶር ስታደርግ the same amount of time ይፈጃል። So log shipping create የምታደርግ ከሆነ you need to disable the transaction log job and then wait for the full backup to complete. በደንብ ጊዜ ይወስዳል። 2 ቀን 3 ቀን የሚፈጅ ማይግሬሽን አይቻቃለሁ። I mean, we're talking about the cutover, right? Cutover ነው የምንለው ይሄ actual migration ነው።
Yeah.
Actual backup and restore ማለት ነው። ትልቅ ዳታቤዞች አይቻቃለሁ to be honest. 10 ምናምን ሰዓት ግን አብዛኛዎቹ ቶሎ ያልቃሉ። እንዳልኩ ትልልቅ ከሆኑ we configure log shipping እናደርጋቸዋለን behind the scene ማለት ነው። አፕሊኬሽኖቹ ዳታቤዝም ሶርሱን እየተጠቀሙ እኛ እንትን እንላለን log shipping behind the scene እናደርጋለን።
Okay, thank you.
ሞር ሃንዳችንን እንትን እንበል እስኪ ወደ ስራ እንግባ አይሻልም? All right, so yes, that's good. Yes, Lamaskin.
ቪኤማችን ላይ ነው ወይስ ሎካል ማሽናችን ላይ ነው አሁን ማይግሬት የምናደርገው ከአንድ ሰርቨር ወደ አንድ ሰርቨር?
I'm going to be using my VM. I think at this point እኮ ከሎካል ማሽን ወጥተናል። ሁላችንም ዶሜን ጆይን ያደረጉ 3 ሰርቨሮች አሉ። I'm under impression እንግዲህ ሁላችሁም እንደዛ ናችሁ። ከሌላችሁ that's a completely different story.
Okay.
አይደል? ሌላ መስኪን አንተ አይደለም ህዝቡን ይዘህ
ልክ ነው። አይ እንደው ልክ ነው።
Okay. So I have በመጀመሪያ SQL Server 2019 2016 2012 እና 2016 እስኪ ዳውንሎድ እናድርግና እዛ I have 2012 እዚህ ጋር let me mount this okay, so I have this guy right here. Okay. download የተደረገ እንትን አለ። so actually ከዛ ፊት let me show you ከሌላችሁ አድርጉ። I have file share እዚህ ላይ አንደኛውን ድራይቭ ነው basically ምንም ያደረኩት ነገር የለም። ይሄንን C ድራይቭ ውስጥ SQL install ብዬ ይሄን ፎልደር ክሬት አድርጌያለሁ። let me do actually this is SQL install, right? Let me just choose backup. Backup SQL install first. I'm going to be mounting 2012. Cut this and move it to ሁሉ ጊዜ ዳውንሎድ አታድርጉ። ከአንድ ሰርቨር ላይ ዳውንሎድ ካደረጋችሁ በኋላ okay, what happened? Do I have the file mounted somewhere? SQL install ታስቀምጠዋለሁ እዚህ ጋር so that I can access it from all the 3 servers. This is my node 2. Node 2 ላይ ማለት this file share I can see it. ይሄ ሲያልቅ ከዛም ኖድ 2 ላይ ያገኘዋለሁ። I have my other node which is this guy. Same drive layout. Actually this one needs ይሄንን አንዴ ፎርማት እናደርጋለን ብሎ ሄደን more drive add እናደርጋለን. we can practice ማለት opportunity. But for now we have node 2 which has basically only one drive. So ለዛ ከሆነ Azure ላይ ልውሰዳችሁና behind the scene copy እየተደረገ destination server ይላዘጋጅ. That's part of actually the migration. ስለዚህ እሱን እናዘጋጀው። All right, so node 1 ስንት drive ነው ያለኝ? I have at least F drive አለኝ ለዴታ ሎግ አለኝ not TempDB. This one is, you don't have to install or do anything on this one, temporary storage. But the error loss warning, you don't have to do anything with it. So I'm going to be creating F drive, L drive, not TempDB. ሌሎቹ ኖዶች ላይ ክሬት አደርጋለሁ። So the way I do that, ኖድ ላይ ሄድና ስቶሬጅ ሞዲፋይ አደርጋለሁ። ዲስክ ያ አዡር ላይ ላላችሁ ሰዎች ሞር ሎካል ቪኤም ተጠቀሙ እንግዲህ ይሄንን ፓርቲሽን መጠቀም ትችላላችሁ። So I have standard HDD አለኝ እዚህ ጋር ይሄ መጀመሪያው ነው። I think this is the C drive. I'm going to be creating and attaching new drives. Let me call this SQL data. And I'm not going to be using premium because it's cost a lot. So HDD la hedalo. And make sure you guys are doing standard HDD here cheaper compared to STD. Standard HDD. Okay. So 32 gigabyte ይበቃኛል. It should be read write, and I don't need encryption. And I'm going to be adding another drive, which is for SQL log, and it's going to be standard HDD. Do we have Gary?
Yes, sir.
እንዴት ነው?
አለን
MTB የነገር እንዴት ያየው ነው?
ሸጋ ነው።
ስታንዳርድ HDD ለዚህ እናድርጋለን ለእንትናችን ለዳታችን. And so we're going to be creating 3 drives on this name already in use. Okay, do we have disk name already in use? Let me check. Nope. Did I do here? TempDB, SQL log, SQL data. Disk name already in use. Let me do this. So that SQL doesn't complain. I'm going to be creating this. So this is a cool thing about cloud computing. You can provision storage, memory, or CPU. With a single click. እንግዲህ እንደዚህ ያረጋችሁ ይሄንን ነው እንግዲህ የክላውድ ቬንደሮች Azure, AWS ይሰጡን። For those of you እዚህ ክላስ ውስጥ ያላችሁ we're going to have a cloud Azure fundamental, so we're going to see እነዚህ in action, so don't worry. So basically on source to disk create ያደረኩት, so I can go to node 2 line source to disk create ያደረኩት። አሁን አንድ ብቻ ነው ያለኝ፣ ይሄኛው ቴምፖራሪ ነው, we're not supposed to do anything here. So እንደውም ጥሩ አጋጣሚ ነው፣ ፎርማት እናደርጋለን፣ ሁለት ሶስቱ ዲስኮች እዚህ ጋር እናመጣቸዋለን። So we can go to server manager, tools, and computer management. Computer management ላይ እንሄዳለን። It's a bit slow. እኔጋውን እንግዲህ So once we have a computer manager እንደመጣልን አሁን አድ ያደረግናቸውን ዲስኮች እናያቸዋለን። So by default when you add a disk to a computer, immediately the file explorer ላይ አታዩትም፣ እዚህ ጋር fd ያለ እዚህ ጋር አታዩትም። So ይሄ usually የዲቢኤ ስራ አይደለም፣ ግን if you are like in እንትን ምንድነው cloud environment ላይ ካላችሁ or some small shops, IT shops, you might be responsible to do this as well. So I've been there. I've been in a small shop where I was responsible to configure drives ምናምን። ስለዚህ you need to know. So computer management ላይ ስትመጡ disk management ይባላል። So you will see ሁሉንም ድራይቮች እዚህ ጋር ታያቸዋላችሁ። አሁን የጨመርናቸውን ጭምር all virtual disk, virtual drive ናቸው። እነዚህም በሙሉ እናያለን እዚህ ጋር። ከዛ እንግዲህ ፎርማት እናደርጋቸዋለን። ሶ ኢኒሺያላይዝ መደረግ አለባቸው ይለናል። ይሄው እንደምታዩት so I know you have added 3 drives to your virtual machine, but they need to be initialized. Logical disk manager access ከማድረጉ በፊት ማለት ነው። So I'll be just clicking OK and ካያችኋቸው እዚህ ጋር let me show you. Finish slow, no? So just be with me. And then don't blame me, blame Gary. Gary is the one who provisioned this server. Gary. server all right. So thank you, Gary, for making this happen. So እስካሁን እንግዲህ አቬይለብል የሆኑ ድራይቮቻችን ሲ ብቻ ነው ከላይ የምታዩት እና ይሄኛው ቴምፖራሪ ነው። ግን እዚህ ጋር ከታች ካያችኋቸው 3 አሁን የጨመርናቸው አዳዲስ ድራይቮች አሉ። ዲስክ 2 ዲስክ 3 ግን they're not available green አይደሉም እንደ ብሉ አይደሉም እንደዚህ they're not allocated unallocated ናቸው። ሶ አሁን የምናደርገው ምንድነው እነዚህን ዲስኮቻችንን አሎኬት እናደርጋቸዋለን፣ ፎርማት እናደርጋቸዋለን። እንዲሁም we're going to be making it available to the SQL server. So ከዚህ እንጀምር። ከመጀመሪያው ዲስክ 2 31 ጊጋባይት አለን። So let's do this new volume ብለን volume create እናድርግ። next so I think ይሄንን f እንበለው ከዛኛው ጋር ላይን እንዲያደርግልን f so mount አናደርገውም so we're going to be f ላይ እናደርጋለን። So this is one thing so you need to know as a best practice your data drive needs to be formatted. Format ሲደረግ የአሎኬሽን ዩኒቱ መቀየር አለበት. This is one of the best practice. So Samson, if you remember we were talking about this earlier 64k በ64k ፎርማት መደረግ አለበት ድራይቫችሁ. okay you need to format allocation you need to know and then we can call this SQL data and then volume level ሰጠነው። ይሄንን ደግሞ በ64k format እናደርገዋለን። This is the best practice and you should follow this. And you're going to complete this nice and easy and we'll have on the drive initialized ነው አልኩ እዚህ ጋር ይመጣል። አሁን ከላይ SQL data it's up and running. So format እያደረገው ነው ካያችሁት። Once the formatting is done, yep, primary partition ዲስካችን ሬዲ ሆነ ማለት ነው። So I can go to the file explorer and then show you here SQL data f it's up and running. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing for the second disk and the third disk. New volume. Next this is going to be L because it's a log file. And next so ይሄንን ፎርማት አናደርግም። so በ64k ፎርማት መደረግ ያለበት ዴታ ፋይሉ ብቻ ነው። okay this should be SQL that log we're going to perform quick format in on up and running journal. And we're going to do the same thing for the third drive. Drive actually ready naragalan እንደዚህ አድርገን next this is going to be T which is dedicated for 10 TB, right? Okay, okay, TB. So once this is done behind the scene, we'll have 3 drives. F አለን log አለን we'll have a 10 TB dedicated drive shortly. Yeah, we have 10 TB. So the next thing is, you know, source server, destination server ላይ እንግዲህ ድራይቫችን ፎልደር ስትራክቸራችንን ማየት እንችላለን። we go to node 1 node 1 ላይ SQL ዴራ ብለን MS SQL ፎልደር አለ። ለዴራ አንድ ፎልደር አለ። ለሲስተም ዳታቤዝ አንድ ፎልደር አለ። so it's በደንብ ነው ኦርጋናይዝ የተደረገው። so pre-migration checklistaችን ላይ we need to do the same thing for the log file. እንደዚህ MS SQL log ማለት አለብን። MDBም ላይ the same thing. so it has to be identical. አዲሱ ሲስተማችን አዲሱ ሰርቨራችን which is node 2. okay node 2 ላይ እንሄድና we're going to create folder structure create እናደርጋለን። so then አብዛኛው ነገር ይሄ ማድረገው ነገር ማኑዋል ነው፣ ግን there is a better way ያሳያችኋለሁ PowerShell. MS SQL okay, so we're going to create another folder and then data environment, and we're going to need another folder. Yeah, system database የሚል system ዳታቤዞቻችንን የምናደርግበት and the log እና ለቴምፕሌት እናደርግና I apologize, it's extremely slow. This is because of Garamo. Blame Garamo.
I think we have done something on these servers. It was very fast last time.
Yeah, I don't know, there is something wrong.
Yeah.
እንደዚህ አልነበረም
መሆንም የለበት
አይደል? ምንም እኮ የለም፣ ባዶ ነው። ምን አደረከው ጋር? በጣም የሚገርም ነገር ነው። ኦኬ ሎግ MS SQL folder structure-አችሁ so everything when you do በደንብ ጥርት አድርጋችሁ በጥራት መስራት ነው። ኦኬ ይሄን ሁላ የምናደርግበት ሪዝን አለው። MS SQL ፎልደር መሆናችሁ ነገ አዲስ DBA ቢመጣ you know they can just simply log in RDP to the server and then see which folder is dedicated to log and በኋላ እስከማድረግ ምናምን አይጠበቅበትም። ኦኬ አሁን ዛክ ብዙ ጊዜ ቢመጣ እዚህ ላይ ጊዜ ፈጅበታል በደንብ ኦርጋናይዝ ካላደረጋችሁ። ኦልዌይስ
ዛክ ዱቤ መሆን አለበት።
እንጃ ተስማሙ እናንተ።
I'm just kidding.
ዛክ እሱኛውም አንተም። all right, all good birthday ሰዎች እንዴት ናችሁ? all good ግልጽ ነው እዚህ ጋር
ግልጽ ነው።
ስናፕዌር በበርዝዴይ መማር ቲጂ
ያ ወጣ እያልን እኮ ነበር፣ መንገድ ላይ ነው ለክላሱ ብለን ተመለስ።
ለበርዝዴይ ወስቶት ነበር። ኦኬ ፐርፌክት ሌትስ so let's install SQL Server. So we're going to do this bullet time method. አንድ ጊዜ ኢንስቶል እናደርግና 2019 and I'm going to be doing ሌላ ሳይለንት ኢንስታሌሽን እናደርግና more fancier method ተጠቅመን ደግሞ እናደርጋለን። so we don't want to just click እናደርግ አንልም ይሄን። okay so I'm going to be generating configuration file ini file ስለዚህ ላችኋለሁ ሰርተናል አለም እና መስከን ሰርተናል አይደል? በሳይለንት ኢንስታሌሽን
ሰርተናል።
ረሳችሁትም ወደ ሳይለንት ኢንስታሌሽን እንሄዳለን። አሁን አመስግን ረሳሁት እንዳትለኝ። So this is part of pre-installation, okay? I'm sorry, pre-migration checklist. Pre-migration checklist source server አለ destination አለ። አሁን እኔ አስቀድሜው የdestination server እያዘጋጀሁት ነው። okay? So I'm just getting my destination server ready. This is going to be side by side server 2019. So ከ2012 ወደ 2019 ነው move ማድረገው migrate ማድረገው. So I'm building my SQL server. basically አዲሱን SQL server build ያደረኩት ነው። Okay, I have a service account and everything dedicated ለዚህ so service account ምናምን ላምጣ በዚህ አጋጣሚ so I can go to my domain controller here no domain controller so I can domain controller ላይ ትሄዱና provision ያደረጋችሁትን what is Active Directory users and computers yes domain server ባይም ትንሽ ፈጥናል yep faster so I have Baro SQL service here አለ SQL server SQL agent አለ count I think password expire እንዲያደርጉ አድርጋል ገሬ when you provision oh password never expires never mind but anyways እነዚህ ናቸው ይሄንን ለSQL server service account ተጠቀማለሁ let me put this on
never expire no I think
yes never expire this is my SQL server service account and what is the agent one I think this is agent where did we put the okay this is agent service right
yeah service uso no 1 2 3
perfect እሺ እንጫወታው እንጂ ጎበዝ ዝም አላችሁ all right so let me go to node 2 አሁን ኢንስታሌሽን ይቀጥላል እያልገባችሁ ካልሆነ እንግዲህ አዝናለሁ ምክንያቱም I've told you ከዚህ በኋላ የምንሰራው ነገር በሙሉ it's going to be hands on it's going to be you need to get ready you need to have your service account and everything ready እና የምሰራው ነገር በሙሉ ሴንስ ካልሰጣ አስቆሙኝና at least እንትን እላለሁ so when I install the database engine install አደርጋለሁ and I'm going to be teaching you guys integration service and I mean replication ስለማስተምራችሁ እነዚህን install አደርጋለሁ if you need SSRS if you need any other instance features you need to pick ከዚህ instance optionዎቻችን but this depends on the source server ሄዳችሁ አይታችሁ ሶርስ ሰርቨራችን ላይ ምን አለ የሚለውን አይታችሁ ነው ይሄንን ኢንስቶል የምታደርጉት እዚህ ጋር የምትመርጡት ማለት ነው ሶ ለዛ ነው የመጀመሪያው ስክሪፕት አይደንቲፋይ ማድረግ ነው ምንድነው ሶርሳችሁ ላይ ያለው ዳታቤዛችሁ የሰርቨር ኮንፊጉሬሽናችሁ ምንድነው አንሲለሪ ኦብጀክቶች SSRS SSIS ተጠቀማላችሁ ወይ የሚለውን ማወቅ አለባችሁ so now going to be changing this SQL Server engine in with Baro SQL Server service. Yep, we do have Baro service one. Baro, I remember this correctly, and then the agent to this is exactly what we do, guys. Because production environment like እንደዚህ ነው የምናደርገው ከዚህ የተለየ የለም so በደንብ አድርጋችሁ ፎሎ እያደረጋችሁ ምናምን ከኛ ጋር ብትሰሩ ጥሩ ነው ከዚህ የተለየ ነገር የለም ገሬ ስንት ጊዜ ሰርተሃል አሁን ማይግሬሽን
exactly the same
ነው ምንም ለውጥ የለውም Zach, have you done any migration recently? Back to Bay. Zach.
birthday ሊያከብር ወጣ መሰለኝ
it's not good all right so everything
አለው እየሰማው ነው ሀሜት እንትን እያለኝ ነበረ
ሀሜት አስቸገረ
እቺ 2 ብር ኢንተርኔት 2 ብር ሞልቼ ማስተካከል አቅቶ
ፍሬው እዚህ ጋር አንድ አስቆም እዚህ ጋር ሲኩዌል ኢንስቶል ስናደርግ ሚክስድ አውተንቲኬሽን ካልመረጥን አፍተር ፖስት ላይ መቀየር እንችላለን ወደ ሚክስድ?
Yes, we can do that. ማድረግ እንችላለን። ትዝ ይላችሁ እንደሆነ ትላንትና ይህን ሲኩዌል ዲቢ አካውንት ክሬት አድርገናል አይደል? ግሩፕ አካውንት አሁን ይኸው we're seeing it in action። እዚህ ጋር አድሚን አድ እናደርገዋለን። ኦኬ ይኸው አሁን አድሚኒስትሬተር አደረግ ነው ማለት ነው። ከፈለኩኝ ራሴንም ማድረግ እችላለሁ። ባሮ ዲሲ አድሚን ይኸው ባሮ ዲሲ አድሚን ነው ቢኮዝ በሱ አካውንት ነው ገብቼ እየሰራ ያለው። ኦኬ but adding ባሮ ዲሲ አድሚን as well as SQL DB ከፈለጋችሁ ፋሲካንም አድ ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ። ከአክቲቭ ዳይሬክተሪያችሁ you can just search for all those accounts, and Fasika is not needed here because he's part of SQL DB admin, right? So these are going to be SQL Server administrators. SA permission የሚኖራቸው እነዚህ ናቸው። At the same time ደግሞ SQL Server authentication ስትጠቀሙ you can use the SA account, built-in account, password ይሆናል። And then data file location, guys, we've done this several times. በደንብ ተነጋግረናል። የዳታችን root directory የቱ ጋር ነው? actual ይሄ እንግዲህ ዲፎልት ሎኬሽናችን ነው። አሁን ክሬት ያደረግናቸው ፎልደሮች ትዝ ይላችኋል። ፐርፐዝሊ ለዚህ ብለን ነው ዳታ ሩት ዳይሬክተሪ ሲስተም ዳታቤዞችን ማስቀምጠው እዚህ ጋር ነው። ኤምኤስዲቢ ማስተር ሞዴል ኦኬ ኤንድ ዩዘር ዳታቤዝ የት ነው ማስቀምጠው? ኤፍ ድራይቭ ላይ ነው ማድረገው። ሎግ ዳይሬክተሪ this is going to be my L drive, which is dedicated for log. So make sure you follow these best practices. Backup directory. Backup is going to go on the file share. Ziga. File share actually, I'm sure I have created a, didn't I create a backup folder? Node 1 here. I did. I'm sure I did a backup. Oh, okay. So I think ይሄንን ሼር አላደረኩትም ይሄንን so I can create this guy file share create ማድረግ እችላለሁ quickly. I can share this to everyone, add, and I'm gonna make this everyone. I can do this backup locationችን ይሄ ነው dedicated, so ኋላ ላይ ኦላ አለንድሬ እናደርግበትና እናያለን ይሄንን now I can go to where are my node 2 and cancel አድርጌ I can control plus A, control plus V, borrow node 1 SQL backup, and my temp DB is going to be on what happened? You have specified server the data directory borrow to what kind of warning is this? In the installation process, you must verify the server service account has full control. Yes, that's good. So, and then I'm going to be removing this guy, and then I'm going to be adding my data file to tempdb folder in tempdb aragalo, and number of files best practice at least 4. I'm going to start the 4. Initial size, this is not going to be ideal. You can drive space. Actually, I have enough drive space. 524 ማሳደግ አለባችሁ, and at least 524 አደግ እንለዋለን auto grows actually ለtemtdb, and I'm gonna have temtdb and log files ይቀመጥ እዛ. And then when you are installing SQL Server, the latest version of SQL Server, you can configure maxed up and then memory setting. So this is gonna go hand in hand with your source server. And I know for sure my source server maxed up and memory setting is the same because my servers are exactly identical. So I'm going to go next. You have specified the file server as the data directory to avoid possible failures. Full control and permission, yes. Now I need to go back and then check why this guy is complaining about this folder. It's not a data directory, it's a backup directory. So, okay, perfect. My SQL Server installation is completed. Complete. So we're going to copy this guy. His location. ኮፒ እናደርጋለን and I'm going to install because same installation ይሄንን ሌላ ቦታ ሄደን እናደርጋለን okay we're going to copy this guy ይሄንን i5 ፋይል node 3 ላይ ሄደን እንጠቀመዋለን okay copy and then go to run yes
ይሄኛው የ2019
okay
I have a question.
Yes. Mano?
Very Pascal.
Mr. Pascal, can you speak a little bit louder?
Okay. So ይሄኛው የ2019 ሰርቨር ኢንስቶል ያለ ነው ባለፈው ኢንስቶል ካረግ ነው የተለየ ነው ማለት ለብቻ ዴስቲኔሽን ሰርቨሩ ከዛኛው ኢንስቶል ካረግ ነው የተለየ ነው ማለት ነው
Yes. So አሁን እኛ አዲስ ሰርቨር ቢልድ እያደረግን ነው ለምንድን ነው ይሄ አዲስ ሰርቨር ነው 2019 ይሄ ባለፈው let's forget about the installation that we did. It's the same thing, right? 2019. አሁን ሄደን አዲስ ሌላ ኢንስቶል እናደርጋለን 2012 አፕግሬድ የምናደርገው ከ2012 ወደ 2019 okay
okay
so I ፋይላችን አለ እዚህ ጋር this guy I ፋይላችንን ይዘን we can put her in binary አችን ላይ እዚህ ጋር paste ማድረግ እንችላለን by the way so that I can access it from node 3 so file share ይኖራችሁ ሁሌ practice ስታረጉ file share ነው አሁን ይሄንን ተጠቅመን ከዚህ ፖል ማድረግ እንችላለን ባካፕ ያኛው ኢንስቶል እያደረገ ይሄኛው ኢንስቶል እያደረገ where is it While this thing is going, we should be able to install SQL Server on Node 3. Okay, Node 3 ላይ ምን ያስፈልገናል guys? Node 3 is not properly configured. ድራይቮቹ ምናምኖቹ so I don't want to waste your time. So ይሄንን እኔ ራሴ ሰራዋለሁ. But the same thing, ድራይቮቹን F, L እና Tin create እናደርጋለን. Yes, question.
So silent installation ታደርጋለህ አሁን ኖድ 3 ላይ
Sorry, huh?
Silent installation ታደርጋለህ ኖድ 3 ላይ
Yes.
አሁን
አሳያችኋለሁ yes.
Okay.
ድራይቮቹን አንዴ ፊክስ እናድርግና እናደርጋለን silent. Actually we're going to be using PowerShell. So let me copy my DBA tools module. PowerShell ተጠቅሞ የሚያውቅ ከእናንተ ውስጥ አለ? PowerShell PowerShell የለም ፕሮጀክት ላይ ያልሰራችሁ PowerShell አልተጠቀማችሁ
እኛ ክላስ አልተጠቀምንም actually ይሄንን ማየቱ ጥሩ ኦፖርቹኒቲ ነው
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So ይሄንን እናርግሽ ሞጁሉን so ይሄ DBA tools የሚባለው ሞጁል so to be honest ያን ያህል ብዙ PowerShell እውቀት አይፈልግም እኔም actually ያን ያህል PowerShell እውቀት የለኝም ግን I can read and then I can modify any PowerShell script and I can utilize PowerShell በጣም አሪፍ ነው ይሄ PowerShell የሚባለው ነገር so ምንድነው so the group of SQL Server DBAs አብዛኛዎቹን የማኑዋል ስራ ምናምን ሲሰለቻቸው ለምን አውቶሜት አናደርግም አብዛኛውን ስራ ብለው ሲያስቡ የተሻለ አማራጭ መስሎ የታያቸው ይሄ የዊንዶውስ ሰርቨር የፓወርሼል ዩቲሊቲ ነው እሱን በመጠቀም ሞጁል ይጽፋሉ it's basically in the store procedure ማለት ነው store procedure ጽፈው parameterized store procedure አለ አይደል? So just you pass the parameter and then you call the PowerShell. So and Chrissy የምትባል ሴትዮ አለች, she works for የኔቶ ስፔሻል አፕስ እዛ ነው የምትሰራው. She's the main author. እና ይሄንን ሊንክ ብታዩት I'm going to put it in በጣም አሪፍ ብዙ ነገሮችን ማድረግ ይቻላል። እነዚህ ናቸው ኮሚኒቲዎቹ። ግን ዋናዋ ሴትዮ I think ክሪስ የምትባለው ነች። is not here. she's a guy የምታዩት. So you can learn, I mean you can go watch ይሄን ቪዲዮ ምናምን በጣም ቀላል ነው. Using this PowerShell module you can migrate databases, servers, and you can do all kind of things. So ኮማንዶቹን ብታዩዋቸው ወደ 3000 ምናምን የሚጠጉ ነገሮችን ማድረግ ይቻላል ይሄን ተጠቅሞ። እንደምታዩት ለምሳሌ በፎልደር በካቴጎሪ የተቀመጡት ማይግሬሽንን በተመለከተ you can copy database from one server to another. So if you click ይሄንን ይሄ copy database የሚለው ኮማንድ ምን ይፈልጋል? ፓራሜትሮቹን ልክ እንደ ስቶር ፕሮሲጀር ፓራሜትሮች ናቸው። ኤግዛምፕሎቹን ነው በጣም ወዳቸው ነው። You don't have to do anything. You can just simply copy this, copy database ምናምን ብላችሁ ሶርሱን ትቀይሩታላችሁ። ሶርስ ሰርቨር ዴስቲኔሽን እንደዚህ ዳታቤዝ ሙቭ የምታረጉትን ዳታቤዝ ባክአፕ ሪስቶር ሜተድ ነው ወይ የምትጠቀሙት የት እናስቀምጠው? ይሄንን ፋይል ሼር ታስቀምጣላችሁ። then ይሄንን ከኮማንድ ላይን ከፓወርሼል ትጠሩታላችሁ and then boom it's gone. So you don't have to even have በጣም ብዙ sophisticated የሆነ ነገር። አሁን እኔ ማሳያችሁ ኢንስቶል SQL server የሚል ነው። እዚህ ጋር መታችሁ ሰርች ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ። ምሳሌ ኢንስቶል ዲቢ ኢንስታንስ። So ይሄ you can quickly install a SQL server instance on one or many computers. So በጣም ብዙ ነገር ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ ይሄን ተጠቅማችሁ። So ለምሳሌ እኔ ማድረገው ምንድነው አሁን ኢንስቶል ዲቢ ኢንስታንስ ቨርዥኑ 2019 ነው። ሁሉንም ፊቸር ጫንልኝ ይለዋለሁ። And then it's going to install default SQL server instance and run the installation ሁሉንም ተጠቅሙ። or ደግሞ ሁለተኛው ኦፕሽን ምንድነው? I can install named instance አደርገዋለሁ ሰርቨር እዚህ ላይ version default. You can do all kind of things, and then you can also do like install db instance version እዚህ ጋር ትነግሩታላችሁ የኢንስታንሱን ኔም configuration file ነው። So እኔ ማድረገውን ቱ ላየር የተጠቀምኩትን configuration INI ፋይል አመጣውና ልክ እንደ silent installation I'm just gonna copy this code and I will install a default SQL Server instance on Node 3. So ይሄንን ሞጁል ኮፒ አድርጌዋለሁ. by the way you guys install የምታደርጉበት መንገድ በጣም ሲምፕል ነው. You can go to this page. በመጀመሪያ ሞክሯቸው የተለያዩ ሜተዶች ኦፕሽኖች አሉ። እኔ ማድረገው ምንድነው you can copy ይሄን የመጀመሪያውን ሜተድ 1 ሜተድ 2 እያለ እንደምታዩት በጣም ተራሩ በጣም ቀላል ነው። you can RDP to your server. ለምሳሌ ኖድ 2 ላይ ልሂድና I'll search for PowerShell, Windows PowerShell, right click as admin. Here utility method window. Then I will copy paste or type ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ ከፈለጋችሁ install module dba tools. Okay, and when you click enter it should work, but sometimes it doesn't. For some reason ለኔ vmውን configure ሳደርገው ሲደረግ I think there are some features that needs to be enabled, so I couldn't get it done. Install ይህችን ብቻ ራን በማድረግ አልሰራልኝም። ኢንስቶል ሊያደርግልኝ አልቻለም። So when you install a module ይጠይቃችኋል are you sure ምናምን ይላችኋል, and then you click yes and it's going to go to the microsoft.com ላይ ሄዶ ይሄን ሞጁል ይፈልገውና ዲቤቱል የሚባለው ሞጁል ኢንስቶል ለማድረግ ይሞክራል። የኔ for some reason ፓኬጅ ማኔጅመንት ፌል እያለ አስቸገረኝ። so I couldn't ይሄን ክላስ ከመጀመሪያ ከ15 ደቂቃ በፊት I was testing it, but I didn't have time to research. So I went ahead and then used the method 2 method 3 ምናምን እያላችሁ መጠቀም ትችላላችሁ። ለምሳሌ method 2 I can copy the whole code እዚህ ጋር and I can go to node 1, PowerShell. ምሳሌ you know what, node 1 ላይ I'm not gonna node 2 ላይ close it. Right click. Oh god, node 2 is slow. Control plus C. Code copy አድርጌዋለሁ already. It's gonna set the repository ወደ PowerShell gallery ያደርገውና trust አድርገው እያለ ነው. And once I do that, install ማድረግ እችላለሁ ከዚህ ከማይክሮሶፍት PowerShell gallery ይባላል. So PowerShell gallery access ማድረግ አቅቶታል. So it's okay. So the worst case scenario ምንድነው? እኔ ምን ቢብሎኝ ምንድነው ያደረኩት? ዳይሬክት ኢንስቶሎቹን ቢካሉ ሜተድ 8 አለ ወርታች ስቶርድ እዚህ ጋር ኦፍላይን ኢንስቶል ጋይድ አለው እዚህ ጋር ክሊክ ስታደርጉ this is very easy. You can try this.
ፋይርዎሉን ቼክ አድርገዋል ፍሬው? የሰርቨሩን ፋይርዎል ኦፍ አንዳንዴ ኦን ይሆናል። ኦፍ አድርጌዋለሁ ግን I don't know sometimes
I'm sure firewall off ነው። firewall off ባይሆን ኖሮ ሰርቨሮች ኮሙኒኬት አያደርጉም። But we can check. That's it's a good thing. I don't think it's a firewall issue, but I can check. It's on. Okay. I think ተነስተው እንትን ሲሉ
ኦን ይሆናሉ። ያ
ኦን ይሆናል firewall. So firewall prevent ያደርገው ነው ብለህ ነው?
In case I'm not sure.
So let me try to save this guy. If this works, no, it's not a firewall warning. It's not a firewall warning. Inbound. Not a firewall.
ከሰርቨር ማኔጀር ነው ኦፍ ማድረጋቸው ነው።
ይሄ
ሰርቨር ማኔጀር ትችላል።
Yep, this is server manager ላይ ነው። you mean እዚህ ጋር ከዋናው ላይ local server እዚህ ጋር ማድረግ ትችላለህ። so off in a second it's off
ነው።
ከኋላም ኦፍ ማድረግ ትችላለህ። I don't think that's the thing.
Yeah.
So there is something I don't want to waste my time because there is another easier method. So easier method ምንድነው? Right? Just go to this site. Here. እዚህ ጋር ሄዱ. Let me send you this to the group. እዚህ ጋር ትሄዱና you can go to what is it download here zip ፋይሉን ዳውንሎድ አድርጋችሁ ኦኬ zip ፋይሉን ዳውንሎድ ስታደርጉት ዳውንሎድ ውስጥ ታዩታላችሁ እንደዚህ ማስተር የሚል ዲቤቱ ማስተር go to property ብሎክ ከተደረገ አንብሎክ አድርጉት ራይት ክሊክ ብላችሁ so ከዛ ኤክስትራክት ማድረግ ነው ሲምፕል easy peasy and I just started going so don't worry guys እዚህ ጋር ብቻ ሄዱልኝ እሺ አሁን ያደረኳቸው ነገሮች በሙሉ ኮንፊውዝ የሚያደርጓችሁ ከሆነ simply go to this ከVMware ከዛ ዳውንሎድ አድርጉልኝ እዚህ ጋር በራሱ ሰልፍ ኤክስፕላናቶሪ ነው ከዛ በኋላ PowerShell አዛድሜን ከፍታችሁ እቺን እዚህ ጋር የምታዩትን ኮድ እቺን ኮድ ኮፒ አድርጓትና ስፔስ አድርጓት እዚህ ጋር ከዛ ይሄ ፓወርሼል ሰርቨራችሁ ላይ ሎኬሽናችሁን ነው የሚነግረው የት ጋር ማስቀመጥ እንዳለባችሁ። ኦኬ ሶ ዩ ካን እኔ ለምሳሌ አሁን ሲ ዩዘር ባሮ አድሚን እዚህ ውስጥ ማድረግ ይችላለሁ ፓወርሼል ሞጁል ላይ ኦር እዚህ ጋርም ማድረግ ይችላለሁ። እዚህ ለምሳሌ ነው እዚህ ጋር ማድረግ ፕሮግራም ፋይል ዊንዶውስ ፓወርሼል ሶ ኤክስትራክት ያደረግነውን ፋይል you can copy go to this PC Windows program file Windows PowerShell and module and ብዙ ሞጁሎች አሉ አብሮት የሚመጡ ይሄን ፔስት አድርጉት እዚህ ጋር ጂቤ ቱል የሚለው and once you do that ከዛ በኋላ ሞጁሉን ኢምፖርት እናደርገዋለን so you don't have to install ከጀርባ ሄደን አስቀመጥ ነው ማለት ነው። ቤዚክሊ ሌሎቹ ሜቶዶች እዚህ ጋር አሉት የዳውንሎድ ሜቶዶች ይሄንን እንዲያደርጉልን ነበር። ይሄን ሞጁል ይሄን ኮድ ኮፒ አድርጎ እዚህ ጋር እንዲያስቀምጡልን ነበር። so sometimes it works sometimes it doesn't ሪሰርች አድርጋችሁ ከፈለጋችሁ ይሄን ዌብሳይቱ ጋር ብትሄዱ በደንብ ሰልፍ ኤክስፕላናቶሪ ነው በደንብ so okay ኮፒ አድርጎ ሲጨርስ ምን እላለሁ ኢምፖርት ሞጁል ዲቤ ቱልስ so I can do this without it's going to work import ማድረግ ብቻ ነው ኮፒ አድርጎ ጨርሷል so I can import ካረኩት በኋላ እንደፈለኩ አድርጌ loaded because no valid module file was found so I think ማስቀመጥ ያለብኝ እዚህ ጋር አይደለም ማለት ነው should be በመጀመሪያ ሪፖዚተሪ እንትን ማድረግ ትረስት ማድረግ አለብን okay let me do that so I can trust this repository no I don't know I can go to offline method ላይ መሄድ እችላለሁ እዚህ ጋር install guide so method 2 we still have PowerShell GitHub አይደለም okay I'm blocking the unblock Windows PowerShell module እዚህ ጋር ነበር መሆን የነበረበት so click on the word if you're not familiar it should work እዚህ ጋር ባንድ ካስት oh I know what's going on ይሄን ሪኔም ማድረግ አለብን ታስ so ይሄንን ማስተር የሚለውን we should debate tools ለመቀየር አለብን sorry about that we should have done this debate tools maybe yeah I know what's going on in ማድረግ ማስተካከል አለብን yeah okay. Yep let me try now file validation. I need to change remote policy and he was able to find it. አሁን አግኝቶታል ግን should change this expression. I need to change expression policy. Worry guys, if you don't know this, you don't have to worry. Okay. Remote signs. I can do outside remote signs. Yes. Perfect. Is not digitally signed. Okay. Just be with me. I need to change the execution policy. So digitally sign out the module security no prevent. Give me 1 second. I remember having the same exact issue. Import module. How should I import? Solution policies. We need to set execution policy unrestricted. Perfect. If you trust this script, use the unblock file command let to unload the script. Or security warning, and script that you do. Okay. So PowerShell usually risk አለው እና run ማድረግ ለዛ ነው restricting me from importing the module እና trust አድርገው እያለኝ ነው። there is unblock file command lit አለ እና should have done that. Perfect. Should be good now. Block. Okay.
ባለፈው እኔ ጋ ኢንስቶል ስናደርግ እምቢ ያለው አይነት ነገር ሴኩሪቲ ሪዝን
I think that no, unblock አልተደረገም ደግሞ. There are a bunch of other reasons as well. Now you already only know. This is another reason. No. Restricted. We're gonna do this in okay, unrestricted. And then we're gonna import keyway tools. Okay. You know what? So we're gonna do this. Okay. There are a bunch of files that it's trying to open. No? Yes, to all me so I should do this. ሁሉንም ፋይል አንብሎክ ማድረግ አለብኝ። Sorry guys, I should have done this ahead of time. Okay. Unblocks all files. Okay. One better script. ከሬካንቶቹ የሚደርስልኝ ጠፋ።
ኤክሲኪዩሽን ፖሊሲውን ሴት አድርገሃል?
ኤክሲኪዩሽን ፖሊሲውን ሴት አድርጋለሁ። I think this will do it. I think if I do this guy, ይሄ ሁሉንም አንብሎክ ያደርግልኛል መሰለኝ። ብሎክ እያደረገ ነው እኮ ፓወርሼል። And we do G quit. Okay, let me close and PowerShell as admin. Okay, let me try this. Very unrestricted largo. Okay, then control plus program files. Okay, let me get there. CD. Okay, control plus here. So I'm blocking here. Oh yeah. I'm blocking the different downloading let the game like we block by default if this happens in Iran. Yep. Okay. Give this color.
ፍሬ እንትን is the execution policy restricted ነው?
ነው unrestricted አድርጌዋለሁ። አሁን ችግሩ ምን መሰለህ? እቺን ስፔሳለች አይደል ፕሮግራም ፋይል የምትለዋ በፓወርሼል we need to avoid that. I think keyboard ላይ ፈልጌ ያጣዋል። space 1 and እንትን ማየት አለብን። ቆይ almost done. PowerShell string you can run the command below string replace Sorry guys for wasting your time. Open files. Okay. Instead of putting her here, I can put her under Windows. Okay. I tried that, Gary. I tried unblock, wouldn't work. Skin الموكرون. እንትኑ አልፈለገውም ደግሞ ነው። I think I can do this. I think I've unblocked አደረገው. I think it works now. Good. Works now. It's running now. So basically, Nanta next time, download import አድርጓል የኔውን አልቋል. So it's going to give you a hard time. ስለዚህ ይሄን ስክሪፕት ተጠቀሙና next time when you import simply ምን ታደርጋላችሁ? Okay. So this site ላይ ትሄዳላችሁ offline install ላይ እና you guys can try to መጀመሪያ ዳውንሎድ አድርጉት. Where is it? Offline download የሚል አለና ሜቴር እዚህ ጋር ዳውንሎድ አድርጉት ከጊታብ ዚፕ የሆነውን ከዛ የፓወርሼል ይሄንን ቦታችሁ ፈልጉ ሲ ምናምን የሚለው ሞጁል የኔ አሁን እዚህ ውስጥ ነው ያደረኩት ሲ ዩዘር ባሮ ዲሲአር ዶክመንት ዊንዶውስ ፓወርሼል ምናምን ብዬ እዚህ ጋር ኮፒ አድርጌ ያመጣሁትና አንብሎክ አደረኩት ግን ይሄንን መቀየር አለባችሁ ይሄንን ሲ ምናምን የሚለውን የእናንተን ቀይሩት የእናንተን ደግሞ እንዴት እንደምትቀይሩት የምታገኙት ቺን ኮድ ነው ራን የምታደርጉት ቺን ራን አድርጓትና ይሄው እንደዚህ ፓወርሼላችሁን የቱ ጋር ማስቀመጥ እንዳለባችሁ የት ፎልደር ውስጥ ይነግራችኋል ሶስት አራት ኦፕሽኖች አሉ የኔ አንደኛው ቀደም እንቢ ብሎኝ ነበር አሁን እዚህ ውስጥ አደረገው ሰርቷል እዚህ ውስጥ መጀመሪያ ዳውንሎድ አድርጉት ኤክስትራክት አድርጉት ስሙን ቀይሩት ዲቤቱል ማስተር የሚለውን ወደ ዲቤቱልስ ቀይሩት ዲቤቱልስ ብላችሁ ከዛ ኢንቫይሮንመንታችሁን አገኙ በዚህ ከዛ አንብሎክ አድርጉት ፋይሉን using this so you have everything here okay so እንቢ ሊላችሁ ይችላል ስቲል እንደዛም ሆኖ ያኔ ኤክስኪዩሽን ፖሊሲያችሁን ደግሞ in script what is execution policy an execution policy in script run አድርጉትና you should be able to in the execution policy so any partial ራን ስታደርጉ የዊንዶውስ ፖሊሲ አለ ባይፓስ ማድረግ ያለባችሁና unrestricted አድርጉት ሪስትሪክት የሚያደርጋችሁ once you do that you should be able to import the module የኔ ኢምፖርት ተደርጓል አሁን አልቋል so I can install the SQL server or I can do all kind of things again I think already ብዙ ጊዜ ፈጀን እዚህ ነገር ላይ so you guys need to just go over the pre and then the post installation steps and then make sure you have all the nodes ready and the PowerShell module import አድርጋችሁልኝ ነው and እኔ ደግሞ እስከ ነገር SQL server አሁን ባሳየኋችሁ መሰረት አንደኛው አልቋል ግን 2012 እና 2016 ዳውንሎድ ኢንስቶል አደርጋለሁ 2019 ግን ነገ ከእናንተ ጋር ሆኜ በዲቤቱል ሞጁል ተጠቅመን ኢንስቶል እናደርጋለን or አሁን since we have the module already loaded we can start using it easily ኮዱን install db instance so configuration filing copy አድርጌያለሁ so I can copy this code and I can go to node I think node 1 ላይ ያለኝ አይደል node 1 node 2 yep node 1 ላይ ሄዳለሁ then ይሄን ኮድ ፔስት አደርግና install db instance version 2019 እለዋለሁ and SQL instance it's going to be on Baro SQL node 3 and then configuration file ደግሞ ያስቀመጥኩት እዚህ ኢንስቶል ሎኬሽን ላይ ነው SQL binary folder ላይ እዚህ ጋር አስቀምጫለሁ I can simply or ይሄንን ኮፒ አድርጌ ሎካል ላይ ማድረግ እችላለሁ or ይሄንን //baro node 1 ብዬ እዚህ ስር ማስቀመጥ እችላለሁ እዚህ ፎልደር ላይ ማድረግ እችላለሁ install baro node //baro node 1 let's SQL install node baro node 1 it's baro node 1 right baro SQL node 1 It should be SQL install. Yes, Abish.
የእንትኑ ላይ አሁን ኮንፊገሬሽን ፋይሏ
Yeah.
ከዛኛው ጋር አንድ አይነት ነው የሚሆነው ቅድም ኢንስቶል ካደረግነው ጋር ራይት?
Yes. Yep. 2019 ስለሆነ አሁን የምናደርገው ኖድ 3 ላይ
ኦኬ
ሰው ከፍተን ማየት እንችላለን። ይሄንና ላስት ታይም አደረግ ነው። ሶ ይሄን ኖድ ሲኮል ባይነሪ ውስጥ ገብተን ብናየው we can edit. So everything ቅድም ክሊክ ያደረግነው አለ እዚህ ውስጥ service account, where we're going to be putting the files, everything. So you need to make sure, you know, እነዚህ ሁላ ዳይሬክተሪዎች መኖራቸውን ቼክ አድርጉ። ባክአፕ ሎኬሽናችሁ MSDB F መኖር አለበት፣ ለሎግ መኖር አለበት። ይሄን አሁን ኖድ 3 ላይ ራን ባደረገው አይሰራም because I don't have all this ዳይሬክተሪዎቹ የሉኝም ማለት ይሁሉ ስለዚህ አይሰራም። አሁን ነገ ፊክስ አድርገን ነው ምንም እንሰራለን።
ኦኬ ታንክ ዩ።
Alright, sorry for the ተፈጠረው ፓወርሼል ችግር። ነገ ምንድነው ሮብ ዕለት አብረን በቲሲኮል አዝወላስ በፓወርሼል አንድ ማይግሬሽን እንሰራለን። ሐሙስ ዕለት ደግሞ we're going to do in place upgrade, and Saturday we're going to have someone from an organization who does a lot of Azure migration and upgrade. So ደግሞ መጥቶ Azure migration and upgrade ያሳየናል። All right, so if you guys don't have any question, or if you have any question, feel free to ask them. Question? ጥያቄ ነው አልገባችሁ? ጄሪ Any other question, guys? Get at some. Right, batch 3, you guys can go back to your group. Little chat, feel free to drop. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.